Hi, and welcome to This Is Your Show. I'm your host, Mark Stenabaugh. Thanks for joining us again this week. Just while we're on the topic that this is your show, if you have any questions, comments, or show ideas, please write to this station, Rogers Community 20, care of This Is Your Home, 23 Harris Avenue in Brantford, N3R 7W5, and we'll try to take what you want and turn it into a show. Joining with me, as per usual, is the lovely Peggy Pratt, who will later on give us Only You, her rendition of Only You. And today our first guest is a person that is very well known within our community. If not his face, at least his name. And that's Jimmy Ray from Ray's Flowers. Thanks, Jimmy, for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and join us. Our set looks very festive today, and it's thanks to Jimmy because Jimmy Ray's is a flowers store. And we want to know how, if you're interested in flowers, how do you, first of all, get into it?
First of all, I think you should spend some time in a flower shop, at least 40 hours before you decide whether you're going to go into this business or not, or even be a floral designer. It's very, very hard work, as you know, Mark, and you start at the bottom and work yourself way up to the top.
There's no starting mid-level or coming in and being...
That's right, that's right. You start right off sweeping the floor and observing and cutting and boxing and preparing, you know, the flowers for delivery. You have to start at the ground and work up. There's no in between.
Now, obviously, that's where you started.
That's
because
right.
your family business has been part of this county for how many years?
71 years.
71 years. Isn't that is magnificent,
yeah.
I think, for a company to have survived through all the time periods that we have and still be in business. Now, you have not been there 71 years,
No.
because if you did,
No.
I'd say how wonderful you look. How many years have you done this?
I've been at it 26 years.
26.
This
That
is
is
my
a
26th
long
year.
time.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And you didn't have
Thank
to
you.
go to college for all this
Well,
back 71 years ago.
I didn't, no, not 71 years ago. I think things were a little bit more classic back then.
Yes, so
Peggy,
that's how your training came about, that way.
Yeah, and as the years go on, every year there's something new that you learn. Every day
Yeah.
there's a new technique that comes out, you know.
So if Mark wanted to go into floral design, you'd have to go to school then.
Well, he would have to go to school.
Yeah.
There's Humber and Seneca College, and I've taught at Seneca, and, you know, it's
Now,
very
how many years
interesting.
is that course?
Yeah.
Just to take the basics.
Well, it's just the basics. It's a 2-year course.
And then, of
down
course,
there.
you take exams.
That's right.
And then the next step up, now I know you're one of the most qualified designers that we have in this county. Now, tell us your degrees and how you got
Well,
them.
I have AIFD, and that's American Institute of Floral Designers. Now, that is the highest degree in the world. There are 652 of us in the world, and that is all around the world. And I received that back in 1990, but that took me 4 years to accomplish that. And it was
Wonderful.
very, very,
Wow.
you know, happy time for me, you know, when I got that. Because you're judged not only on your work, but your personality, the way you conduct, the way you dress, the way you do things.
Now, I have heard, now this might have been false, but what do they do when you do an exam? I want you to tell me, and then I'll tell you if that's what I was told. When you have to do an exam for AIFD or...
Well, you first off, you prepare almost a year in advance, okay, with your props, all right? Then you go into wherever it is, Los Angeles, it could be Michigan, it could be Florida, it could be Texas, wherever the symposiums are held. You go there, you do your, you get all your preparation ready with your flowers. All your props have to be taken with you, which costs money. You buy all your flowers there. You go into this little room and you're set on just an 8x4 table. And you're allowed 3 hours to do 5 quite large designs. And then you can go, when you're finished, no one can help you, lift or assist you in any way with your flowers. You are then judged by 35 judges around the world, including Hong Kong, you know, Fiji, Japan, England, Canada, US, and they judge you on your lines, how the placements are put in the arrangements, how things are in proportion with the table that you have to set it on. There's a lot to it.
That is,
very
I
extensive.
can't believe 35 judges. There aren't that many judges in a beauty contest.
Yeah.
You know,
There's a
But
lot.
what I had heard. Now I don't know if this is in another school. They will give you a whole bunch of different flowers and props that you have never seen before, and leave you alone, and then come back. Now, do they
That's
do that?
right. No, no.
But there's some place that does that, isn't there?
There are some places that do that. Okay, but with AIFD, you're under supervision at all times, because it's very easy to bring a picture in and say, okay, we're going to do this. It may not look the same. It may be forward and not back, but you know, basically, a judge will say, okay, he's done this, but it's not, you know, it's not perfect, but he's done it.
What do you specialize in now? As you've had all this training, you probably specialize in one area, and then what's your favorite area to work in?
Well, I specialize in funeral work, of course. You know,
That's
why we all
You
wore
have to
black
speed
today.
That's
too,
right.
on top
That's
of,
right.
We all wore
imagination.
black today just to
That's
get
right.
you in the funeral
That's
spirit.
right.
Yeah.
It sounds quite.
Like if someone passes away in the afternoon,
That's right.
you'd have to have something there, maybe. Well,
That's right.
the next
Well,
day
sometimes I have to have it there in 10 minutes. You
Yes.
know, so. But going back to my favorite, I think my favorite design is a contemporary. You know, you can do what you want to do, and nothing matters. The only thing that matters in a contemporary are your lines. Your lines must be dead on, you know.
What are the? I'm probably can guess one of them, or maybe two of them. What are the big flower seasons of the year?
Oh, Valentine's Day, Mother's
is just
Day,
past.
Say Mother's
Christmas.
Day would be.
Christmas.
Now, I know at Christmas time this past year, you partook in one of the church fundraisers and
That's
decorated
right.
some homes.
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about
Zion Church, that was an undertaking that I'll never forget. We had 7 homes to do, and it was just unbelievable, you know. And with the decorating and the trees, the outside, even bathrooms we had to decorate, you know, for these people going
that? I
through.
don't feel
talked
so
about
bad
that.
because Peggy and I talked about this, because at home I decorate my bathroom.
Well-
And people come in, and the big highlight in my bathroom is I have musical toilet paper, so that when people are ready and they pull it, it plays Jingle Bells, and we've had a few people startle themselves by doing it. I'm sure you didn't have musical toilet paper, but
As
I
a
thought
matter
I'd
of
share
fact,
that
I
with
did.
Oh, did
I did in one house. I did.
you? You can do my house next
Yeah.
year.
But we had carousels, we had musical mice, we had all kinds of animated things, and it was an experience that I won't forget. That's
Would you
for
do it
sure.
again? Maybe that's putting you on the block. but-
Well, I think I would if it were.
Now they gave you these homes, and you had to basically
That's
go
right.
in. You didn't get to select the homes,
No.
which
we-
probably would have made your task a lot easier.
That's right. That's right. But however, we were given the homes. We had to work with what we had to work with. But all the people were very cooperative. They moved the furniture. They did everything. You know,
How
all
long
we
did
had to
that
do was
take?
go in. Approximately a month from start
For 7
to finish.
homes.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
See, in
Yeah.
hairdressers, they always have the worst hair. So, did you have your own home decorated at Christmas time?
None.
That's
Nothing.
what I was thinking.
I think my daughter decorated a Christmas tree and put it in my basement.
Yes, see,
You know,
isn't
but
that a
you're
shame?
knocked right out. You know, after that.
I can imagine.
What's your? There's hundreds of flowers that can be chosen to make it. What are your favorite flowers to work on?
My favorite flowers to work with: anthuriums, bird of paradise, chinchery.
Very exotic. I love the
Exotic.
exotic birds of
Exotic,
paradise. Big
yeah.
orange. They almost look like a bird's head when they're cut.
That's
but they
right.
don't come that way. You have to slit them very
We open
carefully
them.
and open them.
That's right. We slit them, open them. There's a lot to this flower business that no one really knows.
People don't realize that you just don't take a vase, fill it with water, and shove flowers in.
Absolutely.
Even when you get cut flowers from, let's say I go and I bought flowers for Peggy and they were just cut in a bunch. What's the first thing I should do when I give them to her?
You should tell Peggy, listen, Peggy, I spent a lot of money
That's
on these
right.
flowers. Now, I would like you to cut them with a good sharp knife and put them in warm water, depending on
Warm
which.
water.
Warm water.
Now, that's
Warm
something
water.
I
Now
do. I'm wrong
You don't
now.
do a blunt, you do an angle
That's
cut, right?
correct, yeah.
I did
To make
that.
sure, and,
And
it's-
I brought something, Mark, just to
It has to be a knife.
emphasize that. Must be a
the
knife.
last person I saw carrying one of those mugged me. Was it you?
Yeah, it was.
He never even thanked him, right?
That's right. You must use a knife when cutting
see.
flowers.
I've been
Never, never scissors.
I didn't know
Never.
that. I didn't know that.
Never.
I
Now,
knew it
with
was an
the,
angle,
with the
but
warm water, should we put anything in it to preserve them? Is there anything at home that we
There-
would have? Some people
well,
put sugar in. and-
No.
No?
If you want preservative, then ask your florist for it.
For a pack of
Yeah.
preservative.
All it basically does is cut down on the algae in the water, the bacteria that starts and which forms that gook in
Should
the
you
water.
change the water?
Yes, I would. I
Some
would
people
change
just
it every
keep
third
adding
day.
and adding. And
No, I would change every third day and give them a clean cut.
if you're buying flowers, what's the best deal for your money right now?
Right now, carnations.
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 And they
are
last
best
a
deal.
long time?
Yep. Yep. Carnations.
Now, this one here isn't a vase, it's in a bag. This one here isn't a
That's right.
And that's done totally different. Now, after you've had that in your home for a couple of days,
You should add water to it.
to the Oasis,
Yeah.
because Oasis is like a sponge, right?
That's right.
And it absorbs it in. What I'm going to ask you to do is one of our next taping days to come back and to actually do a design for us on the air. Would you like to do that?
Sure,
and
I
show
do
us?
that. Sure, Mark. Yeah.
And of course, we've got all kinds of beautiful carnations and flowers that are this time of year and balloons. And I'd like to thank you, Jimmy. Jimmy, I know you own some business. If people want to see you or find you, where can they find you?
They can find me at Brand Avenue location, Mount Pleasant location. Not all the time. They must phone. I can't be in 5 different places
and
at
doing
once.
a wedding and a funeral and everything. in
The
between.
Rosary,
Right.
Park Road, and Guelph. So there we
I'd
are.
like to thank Jimmy Ray from Ray's Flowers, and he will be back on one of our future shows and help us on a design. Now, just for you, Jimmy, because I know you know Peggy from way back, and you realize what a
Pleasant.
beautiful voice she has to do a song for us. Okay, so
Terrific.
we're going to have Peggy do a number for us.
It's so nice and smelly too up here. It smells good even.
Ladies and gentlemen, Peggy Pratt.
Only you can make this world seem bright. Only you can make the darkness bright. Only you and you alone can thrill me like you do and fill my heart with love for only you. Only you can make this change in me, for it's true. You are my destiny. When you take my hand, I understand the magic that you do. You're my dream come true, my one and only. Only you. You make this change in me. For it's true. You're my destiny. And when you take my hand, I understand the magic that you do. You're my dream come true, my one and only.
Seeds of Survival, Seeds of Change, USC Canada. helping Ethiopians get growing again. USC Canada, 56 Spark Street, Ottawa.
Welcome back. For those of you who are wondering, Peggy has had laryngitis actually for about the last 3 weeks, and we're hoping that she gets better so that she can really hit some of those high notes and songs that I'm waiting to hear. But actually, you're doing wonderfully well. We'll have Colin Padden from a few weeks ago back and do another treatment on your throat, and you'll be back. Our next guest for today is Michael Ross from World Star International. And we had Michael on because I've had a lot of people ask me, where do we get into show business? How do we get into show business? And obviously not everyone can be like me and just fall into it. So what happened is we introduced a talent agent to come, and Michael is not only a talent agent, he also is a very talented man himself. Welcome to This Is Your Show. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule to be with us.
Oh, it's great.
What does World Star International actually do?
Well, what we do is we produce shows for everything from parties to fairs to festivals, conventions. I mean, we had a good part to do with Canada Day here in Brantford.
And it was magnificent.
And people are still talking about it. And actually,
yeah, the people that we haven't paid yet.
No, actually, the people who I know attended it and said that they thought it was the best Canada Day that they'd seen in Brantford. So that made me feel very good. And we also did 7 other cities in Ontario for Canada Day, which, being as chauvinistic as I am, I'm very proud of, because there is a tremendous wealth of talent in this country, completely out of proportion with the size of the population. And our biggest problem seems to be getting ourselves to recognize and notice it without having to send it away to another country. But that's a very old story in all countries.
We talked about Peggy. Remember, we had last week, Bill Oja was on, and Bill was saying, you know, that we really don't boost our own entertainers enough, and we've got to start taking a hold. And one of the big feathers in our cap, as I mentioned a week or so ago, was that we had 3 very large entertainers from the Canadian industry performing at Bill Clinton's inaugural balls, and Bruce Cochran and Ronnie Hawkins and Celine Dion, which they're having an awful lot of problems pronouncing her name, but.
Well, the thing is getting them out of the closet.
Well, you know, there are certain mediums in this country where people get to know. I mean, CBC Radio is an excellent medium because of its variety of programming for disseminating that kind of information. And they do support Canadian talent in a consistent way. Much Music's done a lot for the Canadian music industry. In the whole gamut, mostly in the rock and pop field, but also in the country field. Terry Sumption has a video on Much Music that's getting regular airplay, and as a result of that attention, I know he's been getting some airplay on networks like the Nashville Network. And there's a very good, strong act, a very strong country talent and production show that can go over, take over a club, or do a fair date or a concert, or be a supporting act to a bigger name that might be international. But talking about the problem of knowing our own, it's actually, it's a poor rule that doesn't work everywhere. And knowing the history of show business, and especially of magicians, I know, for example, that Houdini would have never made it big in North America, and in America in particular, if he hadn't gone to Europe. In fact, someone gave him the boat fare to go to Europe, and he said, go there, because if you get big there, then people will pay attention to you over here.
That's too bad that has happened. I get people offering me the fare to go places lots of time, but they never give me the return fare. They just say, go, go.
Okay, so I'm out of the closet. I just got the courage. I sing on Wednesday nights, host a karaoke. I'd love to do more. What do I do?
You want to do more? All right. What's your song list? What type of material? No. I'm just saying that these are the kind of things that as a talent broker, because I'm going to buy, I'm going to buy a talent or a show from you, and I'm going to produce or sell it to somebody else who might be looking for the type of music that you play.
I see.
So if you play a wider variety of music, if you can work or have a live band that you can work with, if you have costumes for theme parties, and if you have a song list that says, well, when I do country music or a country dance set, these are the songs I would play. And if I was going to play a top 40 type of dance set, then these are the songs that I would play. And it would always be more songs than you're actually going to have time to do in 4 hours for a dance set. But at least you know that there is more to choose from, so some people don't like certain songs. When I hire a disc jockey, the disc jockey always calls the client within a week before the date to go over, are there any special introductions? Are there any special songs? What's the age group? Are there any songs or music or styles of music that you absolutely don't want to hear? If I had a teen dance, I'd probably get requests for a lot of hip hop, rap, reggae, all of the new kind of music, grunge, heavy metal, that type of stuff, which is exactly the kind of things that most company parties don't want to hear. They want to hear any kind of top 40 music from the beginning of the rock and roll era, so the early 50s, to today, as long as it's not overly offensive, people can dance to it. And then, of course, there are always going to be, you know, some people in the group are going to want to hear Glenn Miller, Bunny Berrigan, Benny Goodman, and do you have a few of those songs in your repertoire as either a singer or as a band? And the more things that you do, and the more flexible you are in terms of your pricing and your ability, then the easier it is to bring you to the marketplace.
So, okay, if Peggy wanted World Star to be her talent agent, she would call you. You wouldn't obviously take her on the spot. You would want to go out and see her perform.
That's right.
You obviously have turned people down.
Well,
I
or I
was one of
say,
them. I'm only kidding. Don't take me seriously.
well, you didn't send a demo tape
I
in, Mark.
didn't,
You
yeah.
know.
That's exactly what it is, a demo. It was demolished. That's So you go out and you see them, and then you say, okay, yes, we will take you, right?
Right. I will say, okay, who else is representing you, if anyone, or am I going to get to exclusive representation on you? If I have
this
exclusive,
is a contract then?
well, or it can be formalized in a contract. See, I'm not a manager.
That's my next.
All right, a manager is somebody who looks at the whole thing. He looks at trying to get enough material for you to sign a record deal. And he looks at the image and the markets that you should be in. Now, I'm a middleman for a wide variety. So I'm not focusing strictly in country music or strictly in fairs or strictly in convention work. I do a wide variety, and most of the business I do is company parties, festivals, some fairs, and promotions like business improvement areas and street festivals of that nature, as well as shopping center promotions, and a lot of Christmas parties. About half of my whole year's work is company Christmas parties, and 4 out of 5 are children's.
Wouldn't that be a ball?
Well,
So how many clients would a World Star have approximately? Now, I know you can't give me an exact figure, but I know it's a very numerous list.
well, in 1992, which was as World Star International, our first 12-month year and our second year of business, we did approximately 1,100 shows.
So the next step is, then, if Peggy hires or contracts with you, then you would find her engagements, or she would find her own, or how does that work?
Well, if she found her own, or she got interest and I had an exclusive with her, then all of those calls, she would give me the cards, the numbers, the referrals. And that gives her the freedom to pursue other aspects of her career or to work on her material, on her image. Because I'm going to do the marketing. And it's easier for me if I have exclusive rights on the book, because then I don't have to call and find out if she's available.
I know when I've used your agency that you've brought in several, like, people, not themselves, but their background and pictures, etc.,
Right.
and then said, this is what they do, this is, and which ones are you interested in? So that's actually what you would do if Peggy went with World Star.
Yeah, I would need from Peggy, I would need a couple of photographs, 8x10s, color or black and white, doesn't matter. Like
With your clothes on.
a head and
I was
shoulders.
worried about that. The alternating duty.
Yes, no,
Mark,
I
we've
don't
talked
do that
about.
kind of business.
I would, but they keep
So
saying
a head and
put it on.
shoulders, and maybe and either a composite with different pictures, or it's better to have a full shot. And then I would want to know where you've played, for who, and if any of these people, famous or not famous, but ideally clients, like you're doing karaoke night at Danny's Ho Ho. If Danny, I'm not sure what his last name is. But
Kwan.
It is Kwan, okay. If Danny Kwan wrote you a letter, said,
Danny,
Peggy is a
one.
wonderful karaoke hostess, has a marvelous voice, is very professional, and we love using her again and again, and you would get good value for your money from an entertaining evening with Peggy, then that's the kind of quotable quote that I put on a page, and if I had it from some companies or some other organization, whoever has worked for you, usually as a rule of thumb, I ask, send me a letter of reference. Don't always get them, but...
So you do things yourself too,
Yes.
don't you?
And that's what I was just going to ask. I
Yes.
think it would be great. Now, I know on our first show we did have Doug the Great here, and he's a magician as well. But that's basically your line of work. You're into magic, and I know that you've brought some things, some small items that you can do for us. Would you do them?
Sure. Well, I have to tell you, I'm a little bit nervous because I did a show just before I came here, and whenever you do a performance, magicians are probably unique. Because as you leave a show as a magician, somebody, and it's usually somebody on the committee who might have your check in their hand, they want to see one more trick as you're jumping into the car trying to make your
Watch me
deadline.
disappear.
They want to see one more. You've done amazing things. People are happy. They've laughed their socks off. They've gone, wow, how does he do it? But they still want to see one more trick. So, in fact, it's very strange when you get in an elevator and says, hey, make an elephant appear. What, right here where we can all die, be crushed by an elephant? So I made this guy's cigarette disappear. And then I dashed in the car, and as I was driving here, thinking about what I'm going to say.
You found the cigarette.
No, I couldn't remember what I did with it. So I don't know. It feels a little hot in here right now.
Is it? Oh.
It's kind of strange coming from Hamilton.
This is a no smoking zone.
Yes, I know that we have these terrible bylaws. Now I'm going to show you a trick on magicians. I could do card tricks. Or
Do you want me to
tricks
move
or
your
all sorts
coffee?
of-
Shall I
yeah,
move your
sure,
coffee?
That's all right. And then I'll show you a couple of interesting things from one of the greatest magicians who ever lived.
Here,
who
I'll just
happened
clear
to
the
be
smoke,
from
don't
Canada,
worry.
from Toronto. Yeah, it is hot in here.
As long as someone doesn't yell fire.
Well, I was doing the show in Hamilton, so it's very unusual. Now, I don't know if you ever play any
I
games
really am
with
nervous.
that use dice, like Monopoly or Backgammon or Snakes and Ladders. But would you know how to tell if the dice were a regulation pair?
No.
Not really. I would just be quickly looking at the different numbers.
Well, there are more important things in life to know
Yes.
about. So the way that you
That's right.
tell is if the opposite sides of the pair add to the number 14. Now, you should see 11 spots. And if Mark was watching from this side and on the camera, you should see 3.
I do.
All right? 3 and 11, even in the 90s, make 14. So it doesn't matter if you see 3 or 11 on that side, as long as the opposite side adds to 14. That's good, Peggy. Most people don't get this part. Now, if you saw 3 on one side and the other side,
Oh,
that's
no.
6. That's not normal.
No.
And if you'd been on the other side, you would have seen 11 on one, 11 on the other side.
See, I'm
3
picking
and
this.
11 makes
Are you
14.
picking this up?
Okay,
Every
so-
time he turns the dice, all of
I'm
a sudden
blonde.
now.
All right, so
it's
now you
3 and 3.
understand that. I'll start the trick, all right?
He's already started it for me.
Okay, that was just the epilogue, or the
Uh-oh.
prologue, excuse me. Now, on the camera side, you should see 5 spots. On Peggy's side, you see 9.
I
Yes.
see 9.
All right, 5 and 9.
5
Newton's
and
new
5
math
and-
doesn't
yes.
change, it makes 14. So
This
this
is
time, I'm going to ask you, I know we've
Quick
got a little
addition
time
here.
constraint, so I'm going to sound like Kreskin saying we're running out of time. I want you to make a picture in your mind of how the 5 or 9 is added together.
Right.
Now it's your mind. If you see 6 and 3 or 7 and 2 or 8 and 1, I won't argue. You can do whatever you want with your mind, okay? There's the opposite side to make 14. So once again, that's how the 5 looks now. That's how the 9 looks now. Please keep your eye on the dice. Watch.
Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
That's okay. Most people shout burn him, which kind of makes me a little bit nervous. And gee, it still is hot in here, isn't
Yes.
it? All right. Now let me show you the other side. Now you see 5 spots and you
Yes.
see 9. 5 and 9.
Right.
The friendly giant taught me how to add. Now I'm going to ask you to remember how the 9 looks on your side, 5 on your side, and I know
Yes.
you will keep your eye on the dice. Watch. It's all right. Most people are too
I'm right
amazed to
here. I don't
applaud.
know if the audience
I'm sorry,
at home
I hate
can
to
see
do this, and I
this.
know, Michael, you're going to come back, aren't you,
is
another
fine.
show, because
Anytime.
we're out of time. We love to gab here, and that's terrible. This is your show. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to thank our guest today, Jimmy Ray from Ray's Flowers, Michael Ross from World Star International, and our lovely songbird, Peggy Pratt, who will be back with us again next show. You'll be back next week because this is your show. And I'd like to remind you of my thought for the week. Sometimes the biggest smile hides the greatest pain. I'm Mark Stenabaugh. Ciao.
My one and all.